Okay, next film we're talking about is The First Omen 2024. This came out April, so a little bit further back. The other three movies are quite recent, have come out either last month or this month. This one came out in April. Kind of missed it then, but I'd heard a few people online saying, hey, it's really good. It's a good Omen film. So I thought, well, that's good enough for me to at least give it a try. We'll give it a watch. Obviously, the original 1976 film, Richard Donner. It is a horror classic. You had Gregory Peck, Lee Remick. You had British actors like David Warner, Billy Whitelaw, and Patrick Troughton as Father Brennan. Obviously, none of those are coming back for this film because they're all dead in the film and they're dead in real life, even though this is a prequel. So they kind of could have. But as I say, all those actors are dead. Actually, the character of Father Brennan is returning and played by Ralph Ineson, who we love, great British actor. So basically, it is the origin story of how Damien was born, who his mother was, how it all came to be. She is a young American, novitiate nun, where she's sort of going to Rome for the first time to take her vows and become a proper nun. And she's sort of ushered in by Bill Nighy's kind of cardinal character, who's the avuncular type. I've been looking after you since your troubled childhood, and now you're in Rome, and look how far you've come, and you're going to do great things. But when she gets into the convent, that's when obviously things start to go a little bit spooky, a little bit awry. And basically what we've got here is, I know we're going to talk about it in a minute, but we've got another Rosemary's Baby style storyline where a young girl is basically going to be groomed by the evil. It's not a coven in this case. It's basically nuns and priests from the church. They're going to be groomed by her in order to be basically bedded by Satan and therefore have the child of Satan. But there's more to it than that. Obviously, we've got the hows and the whys and the what have yous, all this sort of... why she was selected, why she's special, what's this about her. The young girl who plays her, Nell Tiger Free, she was in Game of Thrones. Some people may remember her playing Marcella Baratheon. But that was 10 years ago. She was a lot younger then. She's in her 20s now. But I thought she had, in this, she got dark hair and stuff, and she resembled in a way that kind of Damien look, especially when by the time you get to him in the second film, the teenage Damien. I thought they kind of matched that up well. Like in the original film, you got Gregory Peck getting taken to Rome and let's dig up the grave, let's find out what's going on, let's get the records out and see where this child you've took as your own really came from. Well, basically, this is that story, isn't it? It's kind of we kind of know from the first film roughly what happened, but this is the ins and outs of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I am a huge fan of the original Omen film. I think it's one of the best.
Yeah, it's great.
One of my top 10. I love 70s horror. I like its aesthetic. I like the stories they told from that period. So I think it's a brilliant film. So when they announced this film as kind of another Omen film, I don't know, if it was a prequel, I was kind of oh, is this really? Do we want to go down this path? Because there was the fourth Omen film in the 90s, which was rubbish, and the remake in 2006, which was rubbish. So it's kind of
Let's face it. I think even the third film was rubbish with Sam Neill. It wasn't as great. The second one was quite cool.
Second one's cool. Third, the only thing I like about the third is Sam Neill, because I like Sam Neill. But
he was good.
The plot is nonsense. So you're kind of oh, is this necessary? But this is the favourite film I've watched of these four films we're going to talk about. Actually, I really enjoyed it. I thought the cast fantastic. I thought Nell Tiger Free, Margaret, brilliant, great performance all the way through. Really haunting.
Yeah.
Ralph Ineson. Father Brennan, fantastic. His dulcet tones just give that delivery that you're just oh, something's really creepy here,
I thought he was good, but he wasn't quite as manic as Patrick Troughton. You remember Patrick Troughton was a bit wild-eyed and, we know him as Doctor Who and stuff like that, and he's kind of Patrick Troughton, whereas I think Ralph was a bit more...
it's a bit more thingy, but I think maybe it works in a way in terms of if it's doing a fresh.
You wouldn't want him to do a Patrick Troughton impression. But...
No. Charles Dance in his small appearance, fantastic.
Always.
As always. Bill Nighy just chewing the scenery, just like in his wonderful costume robes and stuff. It's like, fantastic.
Well, that very first one, he holds it up like a bat wings, doesn't he? That's it. That's your sort of straight away. That's your this guy.
We got him.
Yeah.
And then Sonia Braga playing Sister Silver, the kind of head of the convent or whatever it is. She a fantastic, really creepy woman as performance. It's really great fun in terms of there's lots of nods to the original. The beginning, the falling stained glass spike, very much like Patrick Troughton in the original. We got one of the nuns throwing herself off the roof, but far more theatrical this time.
Very similar though, definitely a nod to that original.
Very nod to the original. Even
this is for you, Damien. This is for you,
Damien. Even the car running into a wall, which is similar to the kind of glass effect from the original film. Really great, and all done very well. Although the car thing did have me laughing my arse off. I found it a bit.
Don't spoil it, but yes, that was like, I can't believe they've gone there. If anything, that was one of my main complaint with the film was it didn't have enough of that killing the nosy Parkers. Like all the other films, as soon as someone gets onto it, it's like, we've got a report here that says, and 2 scenes later, they're dead in some kind of like bizarre accident. The head gets chopped off by glass like David Warner, or they fall down a lift shaft, or they fall under the ice. There wasn't enough of that. There was that scene we just talked about, and the one at the start, but there wasn't enough really. I thought you need more of that to make it The Omen. And there was no Rottweilers, and there was no Ravens.
No, there wasn't Rottweilers, but
maybe if they'd gone there, it would have been too cheesy. But
maybe, I mean, they could have done maybe a few more kills, but
Rottweiler tearing someone apart in a graveyard. Come on.
I think the story was good about how they're trying to produce the Antichrist and they've kind of failed experiments that they did, and all them documents they found really disturbing, really creepy. What you want, a lot of kind of out of the darkness stuff that did really well.
There was a few there. That first time it happened with the clothes hanging up, I thought was a good jump scare. Really good, but a couple of the others were a little bit too obvious, and jump scares are always a little bit like, and you're going to get them in horror films. It's just how creatively they're sort of put together.
Because you got to.
But I thought a couple of them, I thought, because they're the kind of like fake ones where they make you jump, but there's no threat afterwards. It's
Scream that drove me mad with the fake ones when we watched that.
This is much higher standard than that.
Oh yes. So Rome looked beautiful in this.
Yes,
the way they
very good.
shot all that, the costumes and the atmosphere, it's very creepy, but very beautiful at the same time. That whole 60s aesthetic, very nice. They've done a really good job, much like a lot of modern films can do. The only thing that was missing was that 70s aesthetic from the original film. That kind of why I like 70s horror film. They didn't really get that, the hard light, the bright colours, the grain, that kind of look. And I personally, if I was making it, I would have tried to get that match up in terms of a look. But it still looked nice. It's a modern film. I get why they do these films.
Absolutely.
The one bit that really drove me mad is in the final sequence. Everything's on fire, and we see the devil in burning, and it's very CGI-ish and cheesy, and it didn't need it.
No.
And that's that one bit. It's the same thing with a lot of modern films, and I talk about this. Less is more. Don't show. Let it be your imagination. We don't need that bit of it. And so I think if you just remove them, it really would strengthen it.
Yeah.
But all in all, I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
Considering my real reservations for it, I really enjoyed it. I think it fits with the original film.
Yeah.
It's really tight, put together. And Ralph Ineson, fantastic. My favourite. And the final delivery of the line, Damien, to finish it was perfect.
Yeah.
The only question I had at the end of it was going, does this mean they're thinking of remaking The Lot?
They might do. I don't know.
Is that a good idea?
Well, again, let's look at the box office. Didn't do great, this one. It was 30 million to make it, and they took 53.9 million. So I doubt they're going to make sequels out of it, to be honest. If it had done 150 million, then maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
But, it's one of those properties that, like you said, we had that fourth installment come along years after the fact. Then they made, a few years after that, they remade the original. Neither of which did very well, really. Certainly nothing on the level of the original film. And, even the original sequels, the second one was great, but it was nowhere near as good as the first one. And then the third one was just not up to it. So I agree that this one's probably one of the better ones in terms of any of the, prequels, sequels, whatever, from the first one. Absolutely. But again, let's ask the question, was it necessary? Did we need this? We didn't really. We didn't need it.
And that's it.
But it wasn't half bad as a horror film, especially if you imagine kids these days never really grew up with The Omen, maybe never even seen it. So if they watch this and enjoy it and then go to the original film, because it does lead in well. You've got that one scene where you see Gregory Peck's picture on the file that says this is the family we're going to give the baby to. So it ties it all up nicely.
Yeah.
So it serves a purpose in that way for the new generation. For us oldies who enjoy the originals, it ain't a bad film. You could do a lot worse, right?
You could.
So I'm giving it a thumbs up, mate.
Yeah, I think it's good. A good film to watch. A good, enjoyable outing.
There we go. First Omen, give it a watch. Let us know what you thought. Thanks very much for watching this video. We really appreciate it. The best way to support this channel is by dropping us a like and subscribing. Other ways to support us include buying me a coffee and Patreon. This video was sponsored by funkyt-shirts.co.uk. Check out their website for a full range of awesome t-shirt designs. You can find all the links in the description.